right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another session of After the Tassel. Today we have our special guest, Beth Jordan, who is a 2009 graduate of Westminster. Her major was in secondary education with emphasis in business administration, and she also had a business education teaching certificate. So thank you, Beth, for joining us today, James and myself. So we're just going to start off real quickly with the first question, which is, tell us a little bit about your career path after the tassel, after you graduated from Westminster.
Sure. So thank you for having me. First of all, I'm excited to be here. After graduating in 2009, my career path has taken a little bit of a different trajectory than I thought maybe it would. I initially started teaching in the classroom. I've also had experience coaching, working in career and technical education, working for the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and eventually has landed me in higher education. I'm currently working as the director of the Office of Career Services with Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri, and I have fallen in love with what I'm doing here. So, after graduating, I would have never guessed that this is where I would have ended up. And had somebody asked me, is this where you would be? I probably would have laughed and said, absolutely not. But it's certainly been a fun experience, and I'm excited to be able to tell you a little bit about that.
So Beth, what led you to choosing Westminster College?
This is an interesting question. I feel in a lot of ways Westminster chose me versus me choosing Westminster. I played softball at Westminster initially when I came to campus, but I had never heard of Westminster prior to a college and career fair that we had at our high school. And I think it was Sarah Munns was my recruiter. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty positive it was her. And I think she had family in Cassville, and we just kind of were able to connect because I was raised in Southwest Missouri as well. And after my first campus visit to Westminster, I was sold. That's all that it took. It was the small environment. It was the nice professors that I met. It just felt like home. It was far enough away from my actual home that I had some independence, which I know some college students want. But it was also close enough that I was able to travel back home as needed. And so that felt comfortable to me. And I don't know if you all still do this, but we had living learning communities when I first went to Westminster. And that was really exciting for me also, that our suite mates were all in 2 classes together. We had like a freshman orientation type class together as well. And it was just a really cool experience. So right off the bat, I was excited about Westminster. It felt like a good place to be. And I really do feel like in some ways it chose me, even though ultimately I had the final say. It was just meant to be.
Nice. I know with the number of students too, it's that's a very similar theme, is just that feeling of home. And with Fulton being a smaller town, it's I know a number of students come here and instantly they just feel like it's just a great sense of belonging too. So do you have any kind of experiences kind of like during your time at Westminster that helped to lead you in the direction that you're in now career-wise?
There definitely are. I remember I enjoyed all of my professors. I know Dr. Sirota, I think, is still on campus, and she was very influential in my career. Dr. Coles, Dr. Alger, all of my education professors were amazing. I also really loved the business professors. Dr. Phelps tried to talk me out of going into education and actually going into human resources. Like there was this little tug there. I remember distinctly those conversations. And it was just really those connections that I was able to form on campus, I still have today, which is maybe honestly what has led me into higher education, just knowing that you can still be impactful and make a difference in the lives of students. I feel like I can be as impactful here in this position as I was in the classroom. And so definitely the professors were influential, knowing that they knew who I was as a person, not just I was one of their students. Like I felt like I had personal relationships with all of my instructors, and I'm sure the students still feel that way today. And also I went into Westminster. I may have had a little bit of an edge because I knew that I wanted to go into education. My parents were both educators. I come from a long line of educators in our family. A lot of family members, extended family, are in education. So I knew that in some ways I wanted to be involved in education. I thought I would always be a classroom teacher, but as I spoke to earlier, that's changed directions a little bit. But certainly I would say that my professors had a huge impact on me, specifically those that I mentioned. Well, and I also, okay, I'm not finished actually. Let me go back a little bit. I thought I was finished. I'm not. So in our living learning community, since I had already alluded to that, Dr. Perry, I know she's still, at least I think she's still at Westminster. She was one of our LLC instructors, and Dr. Miller, they were kind of co-teachers. And so they also had a big impact. That first year, you're really trying to figure things out, trying to get comfortable with being independent, being comfortable in a new environment. And I can give them a lot of credit as well to making it be a comfortable and exciting place to be.
Nice. Well, you said at the top of the podcast that you found your job, that you've fallen in love with your current job, your current position. So can you tell us more about that? What about your current position really excites you and makes you want to get out of bed every day?
Yeah, so I've always loved what I've done. I don't know that there's a position that I've held that I wouldn't go back to. There are certainly pros and cons to each position that I've had, and changing positions, it's always a difficult decision. I feel like I'm able to form strong relationships with my students. And so that's always the hardest thing about leaving and doing something new. But in terms of falling in love with what I'm doing now, I love higher education. There's something about it that just has a pull for me, and I haven't quite put my finger on it yet, and I may never be able to do that, but I certainly love that. And then the aspect of working in career services, I feel like we have the opportunity to provide growth for our students to potentially impact their trajectory and their future. And that feels very powerful to me. If I can somehow have a little bit of an influence and to maybe change the path that somebody's on for the better, that feels amazing. And in working in education, it's very challenging. I mean, you all understand that, I'm sure. My parents understood that. In fact, when my brother and I both wanted to be teachers, they were like, didn't we teach you better? Because there are certainly challenges within this field, but it's also very rewarding. And those challenges are well worth it when you have those moments of success or those moments of thank you from your students. And I really just feel like this is where I need to be, at least for now. And we're growing our program. We're revamping a lot of things within our office, which feels great. And I can truly say, like, every single day, I'm excited about Mondays. Who's excited to go back to work on Monday? I am.
That's how you know you like your job.
Yes, I love my job. And as with every job in any career that you go into, there's going to be moments of like, ugh, I don't love this part. But overall, it's amazing. I love my administration. I love my team that I work with. And that makes a big difference. As we talk about careers, surrounding yourself with good people, that has been the key that I've found in every position that I've held, is just make sure you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, that challenge you, and that really push you to continue to grow. And when you surround yourself with good people, you're going to have a great life. And I feel like I'm fortunate that in every position I've had that, and that includes Lincoln University. It's been a really great place to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since you're in career services, what are you telling your graduates now when you're having conversations with them? Since we are gauging this this podcast to our graduates, and current students as well, what are you advising for your graduates that are preparing to enter the real world of work?
I always tell my students to listen.
Yeah.
Like always, to me, that's the biggest thing, is that you go in so excited and all this energy and you're just rearing and ready to go, that sometimes that energy prevents you from being able to listen and learn from those around you. And I think, being a new person in a new career, you can learn a lot from those people that you're around. And so I really encourage my students, I encourage you all to take time to listen. I know that your generation, our generation, even you and me, our generations are different, as current students. But we sometimes know things, like we've been doing this for a little bit longer. And I learn from my students every single day. And I think that, people in the workforce feel that way as well. They're open and willing to learn from younger employees, but you also have to be willing and open to learning from them. So that's one thing I try to do. And that's one thing that I encourage our students to do, is just to listen and learn from those around you.
Mm.
And I had the fortune of seeing firsthand the work that Beth got to do, being for former coworkers. So Beth, is there anything current right now in Lincoln that that you guys are focusing on, or really excited promotional wise that you have going on?
Within our center or overall?
Yeah, within your center.
Within our center. So one of the things that I'm most proud of that we're able to do, sorry, one of my students just came in. But one of the things I'm most proud of that we're doing is really growing and strengthening our internship opportunities. We've partnered with the Chamber of Commerce and are offering a community internship program that we're hoping to continue to grow in the future. We're also just trying to be more involved and engaged on campus. Most students, and Westminster students alike, do not wait until you're 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, 1 week from graduation to go to career services.
Yes.
There are things that you can be doing right now as a freshman, as a sophomore, as a junior, as a senior, to prepare yourself to enter the workforce. And anymore, it's not about just having a degree. The workforce has changed, it's shifted. You have to have experiences that make you competitive in comparison to all of the other applicants. So take the time, go to career services, be involved from day one. Don't just wait until graduation to go see them and say, oh, I need a resume for my interview tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's build that resume so that you're competitive from the minute you graduate. So go do those things. That's what I'm telling my students right now. We're here right now. Don't wait.
And Michelle and I, we appreciate the plug too, Beth. So
yeah, well, it's true. It's so true.
Awesome. Well, you're talking about resumes, which is one of my favorite subjects in career services. I'm a resume nerd. So what kind of tips are you offering to your students that you could offer to our students about resumes? I know there's a lot out there. So,
oh my goodness, there are so many. That's what I'm like, what tips should I narrow this down
to?
Your
top tips.
My top tips. Woo. Okay. So number one, proofread. Okay. Take the time to read it. Let somebody else read it, because even if it makes sense to you, there may be something off or something that doesn't make sense to somebody else. Take the time to customize your resume. When you have your purpose or your statement or your objective, whatever you want to call it, it needs to be customized to the position that you're going to. Employers and HR managers do not spend a lot of time reviewing your resumes. That's just the reality. We may spend hours developing and building these stellar resumes that they may look at for 2 minutes. So you need to make sure that it's eye-catching, that it makes sense, that it's easy to read, and that it's customized for the position. Sure. And I'm sure I could go on and on and on and on about this, but take the time to pay attention to the details, take the time to make it individualized for whatever position you're seeking.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, we like to plug those things as well. So customization is the key.
Yes.
So how long have you been in your position at Lincoln?
So I've been working for the institution for over 2 years and been in my current position about 6 months. 6 months.
Because my next question was going to be, what are the top concerns that you've been hearing from your students? Are they seniors? Are they juniors? Has COVID played any part in their fears of looking for work? What are some of the top concerns you've been hearing?
So from our student population, it is a little unique from that of Westminster demographics. So some of our concerns may be slightly different, but some will be similar, I'm sure. And COVID has definitely had an impact on what the job market looks like and what employers are looking for from students. A lot of our employers are still looking and hoping to recruit virtually, which not all of our students are comfortable with. So having those conversations, and then also the conversations of kind of the hybrid world that we're in. You need to be prepared for either virtual or phone interviews as well as in-person interviews. And though some of those skills are the same, some of them are a little bit different. You know, you really have to express yourself more on the phone than you do in person because they can't feel your energy necessarily. So we deal a lot with being prepared for both sides right now and encouraging students to update their profiles on Handshake. That's the platform that we use. I don't know what you all use to be in contact with employers. And then we also have a lot of our students are needing employment while they're on campus. So we do a lot of placements for either part-time or full-time work, as well as paid internship opportunities. So those are probably the most common questions that we have, especially at the beginning of the semester. Hey, I need work while I'm here. Can you help put me in contact with somebody?
Sure.
So kind of going on to the internship side, do you have any kind of unique or kind of internships recently that have been good successes for your students or that kind of stand out?
Yeah, so we've been working with some grant funded internships in the past, and a lot of those are localized to the institution as I don't know the best way to describe it, but anyway, most of those are kind of in-house at the institution. Some are outside of that in nonprofits and things like that. But with our community internship program, it's been really exciting. One of the things that our institution is looking to do that President Mosley is very passionate about is forming relationships with the community. And so it's very rewarding to see and to be a part of that, to be, you know, that vessel that's matching our students with the community, and the community is willing and ready to come and support our students. So that's been cool. But in terms of like a specific internship, Accenture, which is a tech company, reached out to our institution looking to work with some interns over the summer. And it was a unique option because they were looking for freshmen and sophomores in computer information systems, which is not always a thing. Like that's a very unique opportunity to be able to work within such a premier technology company at such a young age. And so they were looking for interns, and we were able to place 4 interns with them over the summer. And 2 of those internship opportunities were actually expanded to last a little bit longer because the students were doing so well. And I just think that that's a really incredible opportunity. Something to build your resume at that age with that kind of experience is powerful. Like, y'all can go do some amazing things when you graduate. You're on a great path right now. So that definitely has stood out to me. And we just look forward to continuing to grow those opportunities, really.
Yeah. How would you advise students to network out there? I know we're all used to our phones, and some of us might be a little bit more on the introverted scale versus the extroverted. How would you recommend students continue to build or start to build their network?
Yeah, networking is key. As much as we would like to say it's about what you know, most of the time it comes down to who you know, at least in some way. You know, it may not be all a matter of that, but it's incredibly important to get to know people. And Westminster, I know, has a great alumni base, and there are a lot of connections to there. So any alumni events that you can get to, go shake hands, go meet people. Take the time to get out of your comfort zone. It's 1 hour. And most people may not believe it, but I call myself an introverted extrovert. Like, I really like my own quiet time. I also enjoy working with people. Obviously, I'm in the people profession or a people profession, but take the time to show up and to go meet people, whether you know, that's at a symposium on campus, or if that's in an event that your major is hosting. Show up, ask questions, be visible. And it is uncomfortable. Like even me still, like this is uncomfortable for me. This is not something that I do every day.
Well, you're
But
doing
sometimes
great.
you have to step outside of your comfort zone and take a chance. You never know what will come from that. And so I definitely encourage you to just show up and be present on campus. And at any event that Westminster has, I really loved living on campus. I loved attending events when I was there as a student. And even when I lived off campus, I still made sure to show up on campus because that's truly one of the blessings about being at a smaller institution is that you have that opportunity to meet people. So network, network, network.
Yes, that's what we try to tell our freshmen, our sophomores is get out of your comfort zone. Just everything that you just mentioned there is just to go out and meet people and, don't be afraid to introduce yourself and try new things. So,
Right.
Yeah. So if you could give your college age self any advice, what would you advise?
Ooh, okay. So this may be kind of similar to my network response, but be involved. There is you will never have the opportunity to experience life in this way again, where you're living around new people, where you're all in one space doing the same thing. You may be in a different major, but you're all Westminster Blue Jays. And never again in life will you be surrounded by so many people with so many things, so many things in common. And so I really encourage you just to be involved. I feel like when I was in college, there were so many days where it's like, oh, I'm so busy. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. But go do the things, show up on campus, grow as a person, be involved. You're not going to grow or change or learn sitting in your dorm room.
Yeah.
And so I would definitely encourage you to be involved in campus activities, campus organizations, whatever it is that calls to you. There are a lot of great, I assume still, at least when I was there were great volunteer opportunities, which I really enjoy doing. I worked with Campus Crusade. I worked with Young Life. Like there are so many things that you can do at Westminster that you just really need to take advantage of those opportunities because you won't have this same chance again. It's never going to be exactly the same. So get to know your peers, show up, and be involved on campus. That's one of the greatest things that I enjoyed being in college, but I wish that I would have done even more. Now looking back, I feel like I was pretty involved. I wish I would have done just a little bit more because like I said, I don't have those same opportunities again.
Yeah, sure. Well, as far as your first year on the job, since you have, been in the, secondary education and now you're in higher education, what kind of advice would you give to students their first year on the job?
I'll share the advice that my dad gave to me because my parents were both teachers, as I shared. Don't smile until Christmas when you're in the classroom. That's what he said. And that's not actually what he meant. Now looking back, I was always like, okay, Dad, whatever. But really, like as a classroom instructor, those of you that are going into education that want to be teachers, it's a lot easier to lighten up on your rules and your classroom management than it is to enforce things later on. So that's exactly what he meant in fewer words was that, go in strong, go in tough, set your boundaries, get your classroom expectations in line. And then if you're comfortable, you can let those up a little bit. But it's difficult to lose control and regain control. So I definitely took that advice to heart and was able to have my rules and expectations in place. And I certainly think that helped me in education, being in the classroom. And really, I look back now that I would call myself more of a seasoned professional. Some days I feel downright old in this profession with all these young people around me. But those poor students that I had those first and second years, I'm like, I have learned so much. I wish I could go back and teach them again because it was definitely a learning experience for all of us. But I've been, like I said, very fortunate to work in good places with good administrators around me and great mentors. Some of my best friends in education were people who were my mentors my first few years in teaching. So that's been a really great opportunity as well.
Nice. So we have another question here. What has been your proudest accomplishment since you graduated from college?
My proudest accomplishment, as cliche as this may be, it's being a mom. I love being a mother. And I know that has nothing to do with my education or my degree or my career, but there is nothing better than going home to my little boy. He's 2 now, and he has such a zest for life that it's just contagious. He's excited and eager to learn, and he grows and changes so much every day that, you know, I'm really proud to get to be his mom. And I certainly hope that I'm setting a good example for him. Now that's my greatest motivation as well, my proudest moment and greatest motivation to continue to grow as a person and to set good examples for him.
Well, we appreciate you saying that too, because, you know, as in both of all of our lines of work with working with students, we're so career focused and results driven, but at the end of the day, it's about, you know, being human and what's important to you there too. So I think that's awesome, and we appreciate you just being genuine about that. So that's a great answer.
Yeah, exactly.
He really is. He's my best little friend. I tell him that all the time. I don't know if I'm his best friend, but he's mine. So
I'm sure he is.
There we go.
Well, are there any questions that you've never been asked before that you would like to be asked?
Oh man, I don't know. Does that mean you have a question to ask me?
No.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Yeah, just if there's any other parting words of advice that you might have for our students, or
some of my best memories were made in college. And I had some incredibly genuine people around me, which made my time at Westminster wonderful, both in the classroom, through staff and interactions, and my roommates and friends that I was able to find. And, you know, Westminster is a beautiful, amazing, wonderful place. And I have such fond memories from my time there that I just encourage you all to make the memories, show up, do the things, form the relationships, and truly find your place in campus. Everybody's place will be slightly different, but there is room for each and every one of you. And I know that Westminster undoubtedly has helped shape me into the person that I am today. And I know that's because people were willing to work with me and to help me grow. So I hope that you have the same positive experience that I had on campus. And a lot of that is up to you. You know, take advantage of the opportunities that are there. Work to grow your resume to be involved in campus so that you can go live the life that you love and dream of living. Whatever you can imagine in front of you now, you can do that. Just put in the work and it'll happen.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you very much.
We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to visit and share your advice and wisdom from your time here at Westminster. and all of our students and everyone listening, we're very fortunate for you to take your time with us.
Well, thank you. I sure appreciate it.